What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess, and I'm here with my favorite Underdog fantasy pick'em plays for Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, sign up with promo code DailyDog. That's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app. All right, let's get right into the picks. We're going back to tennis. We got a great menu. The swing is fully in North America right now. Men, women, everybody on ATP and WTA Tour is playing in U.S. time zones. It's beautiful. We have so many options. And I'm going back to one of my favorites. I'm going to Juncheng Shang, the 19-year-old Chinese player ranked number 77 in the world, according to ATP rankings, who is a hardcourt specialist, who has had a great season so far, or at least in the last several months. And when he's kind of been a little bit healthier, he's been able to string together some wins. And he's facing Mariano Navone, another relatively young player. Navone's 24, Argentinian, who is, he really came on the scene when he won at Cagliari this year. He won that whole tournament. He's a clay court specialist, if I didn't already say that. And he kind of took the world by storm. I mean, he beat Lorenzo Musetti, who's having the season of his career so far in that tournament, and to take down that championship. That said, I'm taking Shang to win this thing in straight sets, so that's lower than 0.5 sets lost. And this is an even multiplier, which will not last long. It's already steaming up for him to win in straights at sportsbooks. So I just can't pass up this value on Shang on his preferred surface versus a guy who, again, is a good player on clay. This is not clay. They're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, playing on hard courts. And Shang obviously has played in these tournaments in the U.S. swing much more often than Navone, so he's a little bit more experienced here, despite being younger. And when I say much more, it's like last year. Navone is kind of fringe ATP, big tournament outside of clay last year. So Navone's having a great year, but like I said, he won at Cagliari. Since Cagliari, he's 3-11 straight up, and 8 of those 11 losses have been in straight sets. Shang has won 6 of his last 8 matches, and all 6 of those wins were in straight. So he snowballs. He definitely snowballs, and Navone is definitely not the powerful player he was on clay earlier this year. So I'm going to take Shang. I think that his tricky serve, obviously he's not a big guy. He doesn't have huge power, but he gets a ton of spin on that ball. It kicks when it hits the court on his serve. I think Navone is going to have trouble with that because this isn't clay. The ball isn't going to lose momentum and velocity when it hits that dirt. So Shang to win in straight sets here. And again, this is an even multiplier at the time of recording. I very highly doubt that this is going to be an even multiplier by the time this match starts, which is going to be 3:40 p.m. Eastern. As always, it's a tennis match, so it'll probably start at late, like at least a half hour. When you're making picks on a tennis match that's later in the day at a tournament, you can basically assume that you're going to have an extra 45 minutes to fit all around, because these things get delayed no matter what. I don't know why they schedule tennis matches the way they do. I don't know why they don't put realistic start times for the later matches, but it is what it is. Next, we're going to go to baseball. Both of these baseball picks are later in the day. They both start about 9:40 Eastern, so you have plenty of time to get these ones in. And I will say that I said both of them, so it's a spoiler. This is a 3-leg slip because I am finding value on the higher than 0.5 total bases market, which is usually a reduced multiplier, and I don't want this to be a totally lame slip. I definitely want to make sure there's some value there for the followers. And actually, as I'm doing this, I need to go back because I forget what the exact multiplier is. But as I do that, I'm going with Mike Yastrzemski to have higher than half a total base. He was hitless yesterday. He's actually hitless in his last 8 at-bats, which is uncharacteristic for him. I mean, he is a lefty. He's there to hit righties. He's, if he's not going to be getting hits versus righties, what's he doing? And he's facing off against Martin Davis of the White Sox. Again, it's a guy that he should definitely be able to find success against, even though Davis has quietly had a pretty solid last 2 starts. But again, I just think Yastrzemski is going to be rebounding here. I looked it up actually, and I went through his at-bats for the last 2 months. He has gone 0 for 7, and he's gone 0 for 9 one other time in the last 2 months, just across several games, because he pinch hits and sometimes gets pulled out of the game and everything. After those streaks, they always ended in 2-hit games. So again, I really think Yastrzemski is going to be able to get the job done here. And again, he's too good of a player to just be going 0 for 10, going 0 for 10 or something like that. And I mean, I'm not even saying he's that great of a player. I'm just saying that when you've got a guy on such a big cold streak, it's very unlikely that that they're going to keep that cold streak going. This is Major League Baseball. He's batting, like 240, so 24% chance of getting a hit basically every time he's been at the plate so far this year. Again, I think that it's just too good of a value to pass up. It's a 0.77x multiplier. Then next, we're going to Jurickson Profar against Bailey Ober and the Twins. Profar is also only at a 0.5x multiplier, which is kind of crazy. He is, obviously a great player. He's having a resurgent season. He made the All-Star game for the first time after 11. He's batting 290 this year, which in, historic baseball terms is not good. But in this era of baseball, batting 290 is pretty damn solid. And again, Bailey Ober is a guy that's been pretty good. He has streaks. He usually starts games pretty slow. And just, let's just do a little bit of underdog math here, right? So Bailey Ober is projected to allow 5.5 hits. That's what his hits allowed number is at Underdog. If he allows 5 or 6 hits in this game, I'm really very confident that Jurickson Profar is going to get one of them. So these three plays together: Mike Yastrzemski to have higher than half a total base, Jurickson Profar higher than half of a total base, and Juncheng Shang higher or lower than 0.5 sets lost come together for a 3.69x multiplier. And again, that's the show slip. Let's hit it. Let's get a win. I've been so freaking cold on these show slips lately. Can't really hide from it. Can't run from it. I mean, if you go to Underdog or if you go to Sports Gambling Podcast, you can see my picks. They're all there. A lot of stuff has come close, but nothing is getting over the line right now. That is the nature of the beast when you're only putting together these parlay equivalent picks. That said, I hope I'm adding value, a little entertainment to your morning while you're walking the dog, doing the dishes, driving to work, whatever. And hopefully I can lead you to some other wagers that you make, especially on the Dong Squad. It's usually there's some guys that I bring up that are on this list. And since it's a, combined entry, you don't get paid if you only go 1 for 3. So hopefully you can put in some singles and try to get some returns, because I still have been hitting fairly frequently guys to get hit home runs on the day that they're in the Dong Squad. It's just not getting all of them at the same time, which is obviously very hard. But before I get into today's Dong Squad, which is actually going to be a super special one, I want to talk a little bit about Underdog Fantasy, sponsor of this show. Underdog is an amazing fantasy app. You can do daily pick'em, like we talk about on the show every day. You can do daily fantasy drafts and just choose your MLB lineup if you want to do a daily MLB contest. And then also season-long stuff is amazing. I already put out an episode on my 4 favorite season-long college football picks. That is available on YouTube and in this podcast feed, so check it out if you haven't done it already. 4 guys that I have really, really, really like to go over their projected totals at Underdog. And then also, Underdog's just rolling through all these promos with all these NFL Week 1 games for the last several months now. And there's one that stuck out to me today, which is DJ Moore of the Bears to have higher than 42.5 receiving yards. His real number is about 64.5, 65.5 at sportsbooks. So 42.5 is great value. If 42.5 divided by 3, because I'm just saying, let's just say he gets 3 catches, is 14.33 yards per reception. He averages 14.2 yards per reception for his career, and last year he also averaged 14.2 yards per reception in that Bears offense, which we'll just say was hit or miss. So there's one, he basically just needs 3 catches to get to 42.5 receiving yards. And also he's probably going to get 4, 5, 6 catches in this game. Let's be honest. I know that the pass catching options have obviously increased majorly in Chicago. That said, DJ Moore is still their wide receiver 1. He's still going to get the most targets. And again, I would be very surprised if he gets less than 4 or 5 catches in this game. If he does get 4 or 5 catches in this game, he's going to sail over 42.5 receiving yards. All right, now let's get to the Dong Squad. And I said it's a special one for good reason. It's because I actually chose 4 picks to get 4 guys to hit home runs today instead of 3. The first one is, I'm a Dodgers fan. I bring it up probably a little bit too much for you guys. But I got to fade Walker Buehler. He has been terrible this year, even after his return from injury. He's given up 11 home runs in 9 starts. That's 11 home runs in 40.1 innings pitched. He's allowing a home run in every 3 2/3 of innings pitched, basically. Or if you want to normalize it a little bit, it's 2.45 home runs per 9 innings pitched. The big dumper, best home run hitter on the Mariners, Cal Raleigh, higher than half of a home run. Just putting him in there. Somebody's going yard. I'm going to play the odds and take the best home run hitter on this team, which is Cal Raleigh. Next, we're going to Brandon Lowe of the Rays against Joey Estes and the athletics. I am a sicko. I watch too much athletics baseball. The Joey Estes vibes are off. He's not very good, and I don't think his teammates like him either. Brandon Lowe is, picture perfect for a guy to go yard on Joey Estes, lefty versus righty. Joey Estes he had a couple moments early in the season, but he is fading. So I am going to take Brandon Lowe. Next, going with Aaron Judge against lefty Matthew Boyd at Yankee Stadium. Oh, well, there's one big issue here, which is that Matthew Boyd has walked him 5 times in 8 plate appearances. Otherwise, Aaron Judge is 1 for 3. That said, I think Judge is going to be able to get the job done here. I don't think this is going to be a game where Matthew Boyd is going to be able to afford to just walk Judge every time he's at the plate, because I am actually kind of starting to get confident that whoever's batting leadoff can get on base a little bit more than what we were seeing earlier in this season. And so if he's on base and then you walk Soto, or Soto gets walked with his amazing eye, you can't just walk him loaded. You really can't. So I'm taking Aaron Judge here to get a home run. And the last one, Bobby Witt Jr., higher than half a home run. I really like this matchup versus Tyler Anderson. It's tough to say because I really like Tyler Anderson as a pitcher. He's pretty underrated as far as just successfully eating innings and getting games into a winnable state. But just a contact hitter versus Bobby Witt, who's seeing the ball better than anyone right now. Yeah, I'm going to take Bobby Witt here. So this is a 4-leg flex slip. If it goes 4 for 4, you get 90.45 return on your money. If it goes 3 out of 4, you get 14.87x back. That is all I've got today. Sign up with promo code DailyDog and let's make some money.